it's over. Did we just see what we think we just saw?
If that doesn't give you chills, you're never going to get them.
As good as it gets.
Welcome to the USL on CBS Sports, presented by Best Western. From the RVA and the bottom of the League One table, an important matchup between the Richmond Kickers and the New York Cosmos. Good evening, everyone. With Devin Kerr, I'm Mike Watts. What a big game this is. Not necessarily because of its impact on the table, Devin, but because you've got two of the most historic names in American soccer, decades in the making, finally matching up for the first time.
It's hard to believe that with all the storied history between these two organizations, we've had to wait more than 50 years to get them to finally match up against each other. And while their tenure within League One very different, the overall build and rebuild for the Richmond Kickers actually quite similar in fashion.
Now, both these sides sitting at the bottom of the table, but with so much history. You look at Richmond, they started playing in 1993, and they've been playing ever since. The longest continuously operating pro soccer club in all of America. And they won the 1995 U.S. Open Cup. For the New York Cosmos, the iteration in the 70s and 80s was packing MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. The most recent addition in the NASL offers a precursor to what it could look like in League One. They won title after title during that epic run in the 70s and 80s with some of soccer's biggest stars. Those Cosmos in the 2010s, though, had Sebastian Guinzotti. He's back with the club and explains what it means to wear the crest.
Before, it's been a pleasure to wear this badge again. Come back to New York, to the New Jersey area. It's been, seeing a lot of old faces, a lot of people I knew in the past, and it's been a pleasure to be back.
An important game for your team here tonight. How do you put yourself in position to grab 3 points and try and make a run in the back half of the season?
No, yeah, for sure. We come out here to obviously get the 3 points and nothing less. I think the team did an unbelievable training sessions this past week. So we're ready. We're ready to, to come out here and give a fight and play our best.
Devin, the eyes on Sebastian Guinzotti, but also on Frankie Lukovic and Najmir Spangler.
This team has scored the third least amount of goals in USL League One. They've given up the most, and that's because their midfield has lacked bite. Najmir Spangler is a great chance creator. He can stretch the game, beautiful vision, but I'm looking at Frankie Lukovic paired next to him. Their ability to be that tandem that gives you the ability to give coverage on the back line while also reciprocating service moving up high. Those two have to be on point in order to get a result.
For Richmond, the focus is on getting their press in order. Let's go ahead of the curve.
Interim head coach Brian Ownby very clear that it took him a little bit to figure out what the identity of this team was going to be. Early on, they lacked depth. They lack quality off of the ball, so they used to set a lot deeper. No matter what, you give up too much time, you give up too much space, anybody is going to make you pay. Their back line constantly playing in transition, and they constantly got themselves into trouble. So we simplified things, dropped them into this 4-4-2, moved the defensive line up higher. They went man-to-man on their defensive coverage. This was more confrontational in nature, created more turnovers, and in turn, it has created more success in the final third. It has frustrated opponents, and the opportunities, much more high efficiency in nature on the attacking end for the Richmond Kickers.
And last time out, their first win in 10 league games. Can they carry that forward tonight? The Richmond Kickers and New York Cosmos. At various times in American soccer history, they have been the epicenters of the game. And they're matching up tonight. It's the USL on CBS Sports coming up next.
League One, New York. Number 22, Shaw. From Sacramento, California, number 32, Matt Bolda. His assistants are Evan Munn and Matt Phillips.
The USL on CBS Sports is presented by Best Western. The Richmond Kickers hosting the New York Cosmos. From City Stadium in Richmond, interim head coach Brian Ownby submits this 4-4-2 lineup, which doesn't see a ton of changes after that long-awaited first win in 10 tries.
He's really established an identity, though. Nice, clean defensive lines, really good organization, moving back to front. Yeah, the key question for the Kickers is always going to be, can they get enough coverage within the midfield? A lot of that's going to rest on Dakota Barthethan as he drops underneath, releasing Owen Malley up high to complement this attack coming forward. High press, so important for the Richmond Kickers. Well, Davide Corti and the Cosmos, they'll roll out their 4-3-3, but there's going to be some changes with new profile of personnel coming in. Start with Michael Chilaka on the back line. He's also a flexible center back, so it gives you the ability to over-rotate on one side. All of this going to come down to overloading numbers in the midfield. They have struggled immensely in the engine room.
The New York Cosmos and the Richmond Kickers, over 3 decades of professional soccer in RVA. 50 years of Cosmos legacy. And for the first time, they meet in USL League One on this Wednesday night. The Richmond Kickers hosting the New York Cosmos. The bottom 2 in the League One table, a critical juncture tonight as Stefani knocks it into the stand. Ninth start for Stefani. They've used 3 separate goalkeepers, trying to plug a 38-goal gulf of a defensive letdown to start the year. Lashed across the face of goal by Kirkland. It's the one change to the Richmond lineup. Tyler Freeman's available, but not able to start.
And just working him through a couple of knocks and niggles, Tyler Freeman. Kirkland comes in. Mary Washington product. You talked about the table for both of these teams. It's an interesting league, USL League One. Very physical, very athletic in nature. So the wide open scenes that we regularly see in league play cause a lot of results upside down. And so within that, you've got the Kickers and Cosmos, 16th and 17th, bottom of the table. They're within striking distance, though. Both managers and really everyone with this league will tell you that you're never really out of it. However, that point of no return is quickly approaching for both of these teams.
The old adage that coaches will use is if there's more points between you and the place you want to be than games remaining, you've entered a serious danger zone. 17 points off the playoff line for New York Cosmos with only 15 games left. They've arrived at that point. Tackle from Hansen. Richmond sits 4 points ahead of New York, but Chattanooga, the last team in the playoff field, on 28 points.
Yeah, the bigger concern isn't necessarily them finding form, it's chasing down teams like Portland Hearts of Pine, captained by Bobby Murphy. Fort Wayne sitting in the 9th spot. A lot of teams in front of them who have truly established what they're capable of at the midway point of USL League One.
It is funny, the midway point. We're in August, but because of the 4 match days that take up weekends in April, May, June, July for USL Cup, it almost feels like we should be in the final 5-10 games of the year. Still a long way to go. Ensmere Spengler and Nick Ndaka stands over the ball. Donka runs over. Ashmere Spangler, part of the Taxolma contingent of former Longhorn Staters. She's made up a decent core of the New York Cosmos roster build. Pressure forward from Vasquez. Vasquez and Kirkland got the memo from Brian Ownby right off the bat.
Yeah. Let's start working. Let's up the ante. No more willy-nilly nature about your business on the field of play anymore. I think the interesting thing for this midfield of interim head coach Brian Ownby is, well, to be fair, anybody on the pitch for the Kickers is establishing belief within a team that struggled for results early on. The identity of this group has changed over the last 2 years. Trying to compete at the highest level of League One. The identity moving more towards the youth side development. Sales to Europe have followed. Setting the standard always, Brian Ownby, isn't he? Saying that if I do the extra work, I show the extra video, the time on the training ground, their belief will follow in me as a manager. We all learn and progress together.
Field from Morabito. Leighton in reverse. Filion in goal. Most saves in League One. A blessing and a curse for any goalkeeper. Brian Ownby came in with 10, 15 clips after the Alta game. Practically didn't sleep to get that done. The players were thinking, really, that many clips? And he goes, I don't want to talk about them. I just want to show you what you created. Played them back to back to back. 3-2 win, first win in the league since May 9th.
It's always interesting to me to see how managers handle adversity, and interim head coach Brian Ownby very clear that he's got a lot of learning to do.
Brought in by Vasquez.
But to your point, he's willing to do the work. And for a guy that has experienced success at every level of the pyramid in this country, and within the League One ecosystem, you want to learn from someone like this. Sort of that been there, done that identity as a player that he's now trying to translate into results as a manager. Feels like he's got the pulse of the group now.
Took over from Darren Sawatsky in May. Vasquez, diving header above the bar. Owen O'Malley yet to score a goal this year, but that's a decent salvo. Donka's pass picked off. Aspinall up the left side. Angling back Hansen. Won a free kick.
This is going to be a tough area for the Cosmos over the course of the evening. Talked about the profile of players over the lineups. Ashmere Spangler playing a little bit higher and further on the perimeter. He's primarily in that attack-minded role within the midfield, with Ozzy Ramos coming in. You have a lot of very talented individuals that can clog the central passing lanes, but it's going to expose that right flank. More one-on-ones for Michael Chilaka, an area that Darwin Espinal should thrive in.
So here Vasquez lined up to take the free kick. Only signed about 2 weeks ago. Spent last year at Chattanooga. Finds this forward. Sunlight perhaps an issue for Stefani. Launches. Hansen lost it. Sebastian Guazzati for the Cosmos. There is something special, Devin, about seeing the Cosmos logo and the Cosmos kit on the field, isn't it?
It's brilliant. You think about all the names that graced us with their presence 50 years ago. some of the greatest to ever play the beautiful game. Pelé is obviously the easy name. Giorgio Canalia. It's like Franz Beckenbauer, captain of the German national team, World Cup titles, and took a bit of time to make its way into League One.
Davide Corti's father was a fan of Beckenbauer, and so he taught his son to be a fan of the Cosmos while he was growing up in Italy, to give you an idea of the global nature of that.
A very different build now compared to what was Soccer Wars back then, right, in the 50s. And you know, an understanding, which I think is very impressive by Davide Corti, of trying to maneuver the transfer markets, figure out what the league itself looked like. You know, the weekly grind, the quality of play from all of these teams. They've had to adapt. The build, not exactly how they wanted out the get-go. Starting to slowly add some pieces into their arsenal to assist along the way. Hoping that results will follow. That's a good ball.
Guinzotti slipped it ahead. Running out of real estate. Filion got to the ground. Two Cosmos tumbled over one another.
And right on cue, though, I talked about the ideas within the midfield, how quickly they can break out, and the strength and numbers conversation. Really good run by Mick Mendonca. Just pops off that right flank. Spengler comes down underneath. Spengler so good with his vision. He's going to want the ball at his feet for the New York Cosmos on the right-hand side. As the 8 moves into it, pockets of space are going to open up. You draw the back line out for Richmond and then step into the vacated areas.
Morabito, the 18-year-old from Philly. Frustration from Lukovic. One of the midsummer signings for New York. Played his college ball at Gonzaga and then went on to Australia. There's Kirkland. Kirkland again across the face of goal. Second time we've seen that cross. Neither time was the run on point. Aspinall a hair late.
You got to communicate that on the field of play. The back line becoming so condensed for the New York Cosmos, and as Kirkland starts to move to the byline, you need a second and a third run here, create depth. That's a first post run that's got to come from Darwin Espinal, and then communication to Zahir Vasquez that he's got to curl this run, provide a different platform, 2 different angles to be able to attack. Great move by Kirkland, and the runs need to follow now.
Good signs from the tomato red clad Richmond kickers. The odds are the possession number is going to look a certain way that Richmond isn't going to care all that much about. First card out from Anthony Sobolewski. Belongs to O'Malley.
Card caution has been issued to Richmond number 12.
It's been a fun one to watch. Owen O'Malley, the Cary, North Carolina native. So used to seeing him at the collegiate level under Johnny Torres with Creighton, playing this outside midfielder role. His creativity and the reason why they've been able to utilize him within the midfield. Talk about tomato red cloud. I'd say the Cosmos shorts are more of a vinaigrette, if you ask me.
I think that's
like it was deserved commentary.
Well, look at this head of lettuce flying upfield. Through from Bowie. Punched away by Leighton. Anderson Holt. Jordan Chavez. Lukovic. Bowie continues through Mendonca. Held up top of the penalty area. Slashed aside Lukovic. Lukovic turned away by Filion. Lash back through. Deflects out for a goal kick.
Keep telling you the theme is going to be about the midfielders popping out. Bottom left side of your screen. Great run here by Frankie Lukovic. Hit that with your left, though. That slight hesitation when he brings it back across. He gets it onto his preferred foot, but you also allow the defenders to start to close the space down. Comes more central. Easier for Filion to pick up. Bring it across your body, slice through with your left foot. You julienne it into the bottom corner. But that's exactly why they went and got him in the early July. Kid out of Gonzaga, Lukovic, really physical in nature within the midfield. Throws his body weight around, but I love his positioning. He's always getting himself face forward, squaring up, allowing his team to progress naturally on the offensive end.
Over from Ramos, who makes his Cosmos debut, 15 in blue. Challenge from Chalaka. Catch even more pitch play tonight, 10 Eastern. The Denver Summit take on the North Carolina Courage. It's an NWSL showdown right here on CBS Sports Network. North Carolina coming off a 5-0 blowout win over Orlando last Friday night. Denver and Lindsay Heaps will be ready. Launched into the box, too far.
We've reached the quarter-hour mark. There are two things that are very clear to me about the kickers tonight. The direct nature that interim head coach Brian Ownby, so aggressive in our conversation to replicate throughout this game, has shown up once again, as has these beautiful kits for the kickers.
Oh, I know what you love about it.
Redesign. Love me a collar, that Kit Kat red. Magnificent.
Scooped up by Morabito. They look like $100 grand, don't they?
$1 million maybe, but.
Cosmos, only team in the League One yet to take a single point on the road. They've lost their last two. 20 goals below 500 in the differential as well. Learning the hard way just how difficult it is in as an expansion team in League One. Lukovic plundering through midfield. Spangler found Morabito. It's off Bulldog. Trained with the team in preseason, spent 25 days in Sarasota, didn't get a full season deal, came back to Richmond, earned a contract through the remainder of 2026. Stands this concrete. It's seen so much history for this sport in this city. As the fans pound away. Corner to the Cosmos. Hansen away.
Oh. Well, the land that Brian Ownby built is apparently fluent in multiple languages.
They didn't finish the chant. Curling around the edge. This is good. Mendonca went down.
There.
Referee says no VAR to have another look.
I think you're very lucky in this situation if you're Hayden Anderson, because there is contact. But I would argue that there's simulation just prior with Nick Mendonca popping out of the midfield. Another really good run. starts to lean. It's a tough angle. How much does he actually connect with him, I guess is the question. You see him lean in and the forearm goes, but you can't actually see contact on the backside of the player. Nor did I see anything on the bottom half. May have hit his ankle.
This is a domineering run forward for Richmond. Over to Bulldog, lashes through, touched away by Stefani. And the angle of the referee, Anthony Sobolewski, he probably actually had the best view of anybody on the field to see just how much contact there was. Did not blow his whistle. Bulldog.
A bit of individual brilliance. And Darwin Espinal that opens up the opportunity for Bulldog. You know, the one thing I'd like to see out of the kickers defensively, their posture.
Whoa, Bulldog swings his way through, knocked down Stefani. Still loose. Ramos sends it to halfway. Hold up by Guinzotti to win the free kick.
It'll benefit them on both sides of the ball. Number one is going to be Kirkland and Vasquez shifting their line about 5 yards deeper. Force the 6 from New York Cosmos to drop in. You eliminate that central outlet ball. It also gives you an extra body to build off of, or in those break transitions we saw a second ago, to play through and support. And the chances that are coming forth for the home squad right now are starting to grow because of options being added into the attack.
Injured player, try to get the throw in, but it's a potential head injury. Referee will stop play for that at the 20-minute mark. Hansen up and about.
The acoustics are brilliant, as always. Cowbell section is really on point this evening.
Never can have enough cowbell. Lofted forward, everybody came for it. No one got to it. Glides by Lukovic and Filion. Filion debuted in USL back in 2015, FC Montreal. Then the affiliate to Montreal Impact, now CF Montreal. Went on to Switzerland for 4 years, including a loan back into the championship with Toronto FC 2. Found his way to Finland, Halifax, and Malta.
It's a brilliant first touch. Cut it.
Anderson, return to sender. Bulldog collects. Anderson again. Not lacking for service down this right-hand side. Held up in the penalty area, good turn. Kirkland, corner.
It's beautiful distribution coming off the back line, Sam Layton. And how's your first touch? Pretty good. I mean, absolutely brilliant from Anderson down into the channel, but no need. Tricks are for kids when you get to the byline. First touch, good. You body him off, hit it right there. The half step over, you slow the game down. The back line compresses for the Cosmos, eliminates a real clear-cut opportunity. 90% of the way, job well done. There's that final little finesse that's missing.
Vasquez, ball chopped at, away by Ramos. Bulldog goes in, got plenty of Spengler. parallel play from Mendonca. Mendonca putting on the Jets. That by Leighton. They love his athleticism at defensive position. Covers so much ground as needed.
And a lot of it so far this season has been spent on the defensive side of the ball. Certainly Morabito, that's the conversation. Leighton is a fun profile. SIU Edwardsville, went to play for Ian McIntyre the last 2 seasons at Syracuse for the Orangemen, was really flexible. His positioning on the back line, but that dominant right foot, always looking to progress the ball forward. Something that's necessary in this modern day center back role.
Header away, chance to take that out of the air.
You continue on with Leighton, Mike. It's for an organization like the Richmond Kickers, struggling for an identity and consistency of results. You need energy and passion that follows along with some of the pairings on the field. Brian Omby's found that with Sam Leighton. You have to almost dial it back a bit at times because it can overtake some of his performances. And that'll come with time, reps at the professional level. But an absolute must within a locker room if you want to start to steer this thing in the right direction.
Brian Omby indicated, I was in those shoes.
Just a little bit.
Think back 10 years ago to the start of his professional playing career.
Brian Omby was the type of guy, you and I got to know him very well over the years. There could go spells throughout training sessions, interviews, where you almost had to poke him with a cattle prod to get a word out of him.
Yeah,
right.
But then, very quiet.
But you let him step within the white lines, and forget it. All bets were off. I mean, he would let you know exactly how he felt, what you needed to do, and I loved his acknowledgement about working it back into the group, accountability. That you better be real careful if you're going to ask someone to do something if you can't look yourself in the mirror. And he feels like that's been a notch that has jumped up many a time over the last month or so within this group that has created much more consistent belief.
He was between the lines sometimes. He ran like he was angry at the ground. It
was just you and I.
Yeah, well.
Just have a Snickers, you know? He was angry.
Yeah. It's in by Filion. Really came to the fore during his time at Richmond, but only 2 years plus part of a season on loan as a player for the Kickers. In the end, there's a USL Hall of Fame. He'd be wearing the Louisville crest. Twice a champion, twice a Shield winner in the second division. Bounding through, Holt scoops it up. Stefani. It was the right step, but didn't come away with the ball. Mendonca belongs to Richmond now. Ownby's 70 goal contributions during his time at Louisville City in the championship, 60 appearances in Richmond colors. He won the final twice with Louisville back-to-back, and he won the USL Players' Shield back-to-back, 24-25. He did indicate as an assistant coach he'd get into training once in a while. That's changed now as the interim head coach. And he was quick to say, I want the position. But he also was quick to indicate that the running regimen slowed as soon as he retired last year. Picked up by Anderson.
I hate the fact that I'm going to be the first one to admit that I know exactly how he feels.
Dakota Barnathan. Off of Chavez. Bulldog. Barnathan. Lacing through, met again. And the AR is down, grabbing at the ankle. I've got bad news for Nicholas Stretnak, who thought he was going to get away scot-free tonight. The fourth official may have to step in here.
He's done one down in the channel in transition. Not sure if we have Dakota Barnathan to thank for the skill set on display that put the referee on skates. Certainly a short stoppage here. Great time for communication from the sideline, whether it's Brian Ownby or Tavide Corte, kickers and Cosmos respectively, of what you're looking for more out of your group. You know, the Cosmos, good control within the midfield. Like to see a bit more balance on the width, but understand that keeping Chalaka home necessary to create the man advantage defensively. Your Brian Ownby and the kickers, what we just saw in that last sequence is exactly what he's going to want. More movement from Owen O'Malley and Dakota Barnathan, less predictable. That O'Malley is always going to be the one to release high. Tendency, yes, but removing the idea that it's always going to be one. Much better in that last back to front from the home squad.
Well, there's the fourth official, Nicholas Stretnak. Who would be called upon to step in as the AR.
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
Not a joke here. That's got to be nerve-wracking as a ref.
Absolutely.
You're already public enemy number one walking into the stadium, regardless of what your role is within the crew. And then to have, at the half-hour mark, the game come to a screeching halt and your face basically put up on display on the big screen that you will be entering as the first sub in this game.
Who's going to hold up the board?
Well, you don't need an ankle to do that.
Chris Sherfranz and Logan Reeves are the two ARs. Neither are pictured in their professional referee organization photo with a mustache. So whom is whom, I don't know. If there is good news, if you're going to be on that side of the field, those are the empty stands. That is the fun side to be on if you're not into being heckled.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm quite curious as to where the incident took place, because the grounds crew has done an impeccable job with this field. I mean, it is picture perfect.
We were talking to Sebastian Guanzati as he arrived, and he said, field looks great.
Yeah, beautiful.
Well, a blessing on your ankles, sir. Ball sent away. Now, Devin, I did mention no VAR in the championship. There could be some video support coming to League One soon. They're going to trial it in Prince Tire's USL Cup in the knockout round. It's a FIFA-led evaluation for an alternative to VAR. So instead of all the varied options that VAR provides in terms of offside and more subjective calls, football video support would only have 4 clear and obvious incidents it could look at: goal or no goal, over the line or not, penalty or no penalty, direct red cards, and then mistaken identity. So there may be more support coming for referees moving forward. I say all that because even if this ankle is faulty, you still wouldn't have any support on offside. So if you're Richmond, lob it over the top a couple times. Anderson drops this in front of goal, slid home. Darwin Espinal opens the scoring for the Richmond Kickers. Their backs against the wall in this 2026 season. Espinal scores a massive goal for Richmond. It's 1-0.
Interim head coach Brian Ownby said one thing very clear: stretch early and break lines as fast as possible. Beautiful turn by Owen O'Malley. Doesn't reinvent the wheel and instead just recycles to the near touchline. Smart decision. Hayden Anderson holds the outside back. Morbido, because he doesn't bite on it, he opens up a lot of space here. And at that point in time, brilliant run on the back post from Espinal. Cuts on the diag, attacks the top of the 6. Not the cleanest of first touches, but pops out in front, as do the kickers.
He became known for hitting from long range last year. 8 of his 9 goals outside the box. Doesn't get much closer than that. Espinal puts Richmond ahead. Richmond hadn't won in 9 league games. If they go back-to-back here, it's still a long road forward to try and reach the playoffs, but they'd be back within 10 points of the line.
I love the breakdown that interim head coach Brian Ownby gave us. Go hunt the ball. That was the idea versus AV Alta. They did really well in the second half versus Charlotte, and then you just turn things around. You become more physical. You become more deliberate defensively. Less is more, showing them clips that you talked about, but instead of giving them solutions as they walk through the clips, where's the space? They found it on their own. They found the solutions by themselves.
Hansen, diagonal ball, Vasquez. Out to Bowie. Strides into a massive pocket of space. Bowie taking this all the way. He went down, referee had a look, nothing doing. Davide Corti said whether they were up a goal, couldn't give it back, down a goal, can't put your heads down. Only 3 wins in this regular season for a Cosmos team so accustomed in their history to being championship contenders. They risk a major step toward an unenviable wooden spoon in their first season back. Holt, maybe the most consistent player on this Cosmos team throughout the year, even at the age of 21. Very young for a center back, even at the League One level.
His talents picked up early on the radar by former head coach Dom Casciato with Union Omaha prior to his departure to the USL Championship in the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Now we've come full circle with Guenzati on the ball. Seba could still move. It was funny, he walked on the field pregame. You and I both looked at each other like, well, Father Time hasn't affected this young Padawan.
Vasquez leads it forward, Bulldog. Bulldog deviating off target and untouched.
And within all the changes tactically for the Richmond kickers, how you value the ball. Can you continue to attack or keep it and wait for another attacking moment? You get a little bit of both here in the sequence from the kickers left to right. Great job by Anderson, holds the width. Bolduc doesn't force the issue. If he cuts that angle too early, the opportunity is going to be eliminated. Instead, really well done to allow the space to continue to open up. His compatriot Espinal from the left flank. Beautiful diagonal run and the opener for the Richmond kickers. Everything that you could want if you're Brian Ownby on the opening goal of the night. And now where's the response come from New York Cosmos? You know, the little change that they've done tactically. Lukovic playing higher next to Guenzati. I like the idea. The problem is they don't have a presence up high enough. Both are dropping down into that pocket too frequently. So as clean as they've been on the ball, whether they try and work central or down into the channel, the second they get high, they don't have any sort of presence. Have to make sure they're communicating to allow at least one body to threaten those 2 center backs.
Sebastian Guanzotti, part of the Cosmos NASL era, actually tore his ACL as the Cosmos folded of the old NASL. Credit to Rocco Camuso and the group there at New York, helped him rehab, and ultimately 8 months into that recovery, landed at tryouts for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. From there that he went on to play some 10,000 plus minutes for Tampa Bay. Club legend there. He's gone on to Detroit, now back home of sorts with the Cosmos.
I love that he had to try out. It's just
coming off an ACL tear, and you don't necessarily know how that's going to affect things, and became clear to the Rowdies pretty quick.
Well, it makes sense. It's just one of those things. Monday morning quarterbacking, you're looking back on, really?
Yeah.
But certainly in the moment, you can understand. Again, at 35 years of age, still quite fluid up top in that false nine position. So much experience underneath the belt for Seba Guanzotti.
Came to the U.S. at 12 years old from Montevideo in Uruguay. Ramos, they just got clearance for him to officially join the roster today, but he's been around the team for a few weeks. It's funny, Davide Corte goes, I'm not exactly sure who I was talking to, the league, the federation, but I was talking to someone today about trying to make sure that, yes, he would be cleared to feature in this game because he would start if the paperwork was done.
That's who was calling my phone.
Thanks for getting that done for them.
Yeah, no worries.
Bulldog on to Anderson.
Let's go ball.
Anderson, perfect ball. That was a magnificent bending service from Anderson, and it didn't miss by much. Just out of the reach of Josh Kirkland.
That's a touch ball. Really difficult to get the timing right on it. You got to have enough pace to get it around the defender, work it quickly inside the 18, but also the precision to be able to drop it on a dime. I mean, woof. And the opening assist on the Richmond kicker's goal. Give Matt Bolduc some love on that one too. Kirkland's had a good first half. I mean, this is nearing the 45-minute mark where, for the most part, Brian Omee's going to look at his group in the dressing room and say, job well done. I think a little bit more of that the rest of the year.
You could tell their motivation within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
There were 4 or 5 moments in their pressure where you thought, okay, there's a little blood in the water right at the outset. And they've been a pretty good home team as well. The problem's been on the road where they've won 1 out of 10.
They've struggled with depth due to injury, as many a team have. It's still about acknowledgement for me. You know, in our midweek conversation with him, leading into it, we're talking to our producers, and
there's O'Malley, and that deflects into the arms of Stefani.
I'm speaking tactics, and I'm saying, listen, you know, there was a formational switch. To me, the game has been simplified. They've done a much better job defensively, but I want to talk to Brian Ownby and see where his head is at and why they've gone this direction. Stood up, put his hand up and said, I didn't know how we needed to play. Really simple. I knew the group of players that I had, but based upon the lack of success early on in the year, if we're going to change direction, which way was it going to go and why?
Well, and how do you look at your team and say, this isn't working right now, but we're going to keep doing what the previous head coach was doing? Darren Slotsky leaving for the incoming Sporting Cascade in Eugene, Oregon, was soon to be a League One team.
Yeah, the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And I still go back to the fact that while I'm in agreement with all of that, you have to provide direction for your group. And in that game against Charlotte, he looked and went, and we're an aggressive, we can be an aggressive team. Let's open things up here.
He said, forget tactics.
Yeah, threw tactics out the window and said, just go be aggressive, go chase, go be difficult to play against. Which is funny coming from a guy whose bread and butter for a near decade in the Lou City organization was all about tactics and how to exploit the opponent. But the understanding that, especially in the modern world of coaching, it's not about you. right? It's not about your system. It's how do you get the best out of your players. And while it's very early on in his tenure, it's really, well, job done for Brian Ownby.
Espinal give and go. Has Anderson coming off the right side. So dangerous. Back toward Espinal. Bowie. Winzati. Misguided diagonal.
Look at the other side of the ball, though. The Cosmos, so many, literally, on the right side of your screen that even defensively as they hold and start to transition out, they don't have enough numbers to attack.
Spengler just went into the book. It's his 4th this year.
That's not just about the infraction for Ashmir Spengler. This is frustration for the playmaker from the Cosmos. A bit unfortunate, to be fair. And there is contact, absolutely, but if you watch the right foot, it does pick up the ball. The problem is the left. Clatters the lower area on Owen O'Malley. You take a guy who's tied for the 9th most goals in the league, 4th in total chances created, and the 3/4 hour hasn't really been involved that much. But defensively, kicker's really good. His position a little bit more on the perimeter tonight. He's frustrated. Got to get him in the dressing room, settle the group down, and reinstill some of that belief you put forth in the game plan coming into the match on the road.
4 added minutes. Delivery forward, there's Stefani. I was wondering why he had such an accurate throw at first, and then I realized he's a Fordham guy, which is to say he was playing soccer on a multi-use baseball field. Before that, he was at Holy Cross.
Your eyes lit up when you saw the profile. Just reading the bio.
My twin brother's alma mater followed by mine, yes.
You don't need to explain it to me. Just letting everybody else at home know.
Yes.
You're proud of the lineage.
Quite. Holt. Big tug of the jersey. Gonna try and let that play on. There you go.
Great refereeing.
Well, and shouldn't that come with a card?
It's tough moving the opposite direction. The initial infraction is where you have to keep your eye on. While he's trying to play advantage here, the tug itself, he's starting to move towards the sideline. There's the foul. That's the second one. And he's trying again to allow Anderson Holt to maintain this high line of possession and the Cosmos attack to go on.
If you're going to play advantage and you do get around, clearly you're right. The first contact is going the wrong way.
One of the frustrations for me as a defender, trust me. You're going to let me get away with that one. What? Don't punish me for the second.
The referee agrees. Oh, wow. Spengler lobs that back forward. Mendonca out of room. If you're going to line it up like that, I know you have a play in mind.
Hit that.
Hit it.
I'm peeking over my shoulder there if I'm Ashmir Spengler and salivating at the idea. That upper 90 is staring me right in the eye.
If there's a guy on the field that you want taking that shot, you found him. Alas. You mentioned Spengler, 6 goals this year, had 9 last year, but he has 3 in the run of play and 3 penalties, all in the same 90 minutes back first week of April. A hat trick of penalties, which I can't remember ever seeing before. That was against Charlotte.
You obviously haven't spent enough time in my Sunday league. Coaching, obviously, good turn there.
Bowie met by Sean Vinberg. Spent last year at Portland Hearts of Pine. And the Cosmos take one right before halftime. I'm just glad the Richmond supporters aren't rowing. Corner for the Cosmos. Ooh.
No.
I'm with you. It's Harold Hansen trying to draw something off of Lukic there.
It looked like Hansen thought there was going to be some contact coming from Lukovic.
Halftime in Richmond. A 1-0 lead for the Kickers as they try to save their season. 13 points off the playoff line. The chance to get back-to-back wins. Darwin Espinal, the go-ahead in the 33rd minute, teed up by Hayden Anderson. Kickers have to be satisfied. So much talk about hunting the ball, being the aggressor, being on the front foot. And from the beginning, the Kickers put all that in play. An impressive 45 minutes from the Kickers. They head to the locker room with a 1-0 advantage. Kickers captain Dakota Barnathan joining us from the field. It's Mike and Devin. It felt like Brian Ownby told you guys exactly what he told us. Hunt the ball, get after them from the beginning. Can you just describe the motivation at the outset?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's just about carrying that intensity that we set for on Saturday night. We wanted to start hot and heavy. I'm pretty sure that's exactly how we did it. Now it's just about continuing to value the ball when we do win it and staying close in transitions. Brian's been preaching it since he's taken over, but if we can continue our intensity, then, you know, we'll continue to gain 3 points.
Dakota, appreciate the time. Good luck the rest of the way.
No doubt. Thank you, guys.
So the Richmond captain, the Richmond interim head coach, all have to be pleased at how the Kickers are responding as their season inched toward the brink. It's Espinal with the go-ahead. Richmond leads New York at halftime. This is the USL on CBS Sports, presented by Best Western.
Youngest pediatric patients to seniors regaining their independence and every athlete in between. Our highly skilled therapists deliver specialized, compassionate care tailored to your unique goals. Find a location near you at ivyrehab.com.
This is our brand. It's chips. Subs, of course. Soda. This. That. Sweets. Smiling faces. Green. Or green. Ice cream. But first, veggies. How about a meal for one? Or hummus is fun. Time for cleanup. Done.
The USL on CBS Sports is presented by Best Western. Richmond a 1-0 lead over New York as USL League One play has passed the midway point, but the USL Cup soon to come as the quarterfinals have been drawn. And Devin, let's take a look at the 4 matchups that you were a part of helping to select. 2 League One teams going through, the rest out of USL Championship.
Let's start right there on League One and their impact within this tournament this year compared to last. Last year, we only saw 1 USL League One team win at least 2 games, and they only won 2 against championship opposition. That was the Greenville Triumph. We had 3 teams in this year's edition that do it. What's crazy is only 1 of them are moving into the quarterfinals, and that's Spokane. They'll host Colorado Springs Switchbacks. That is going to be death by 1,000 touches. Who can make the most of the singular chance that they're going to get in the final third? Miami FC, 6 out of 9 in the wild card race coming in, and yet they grabbed the 1 quarterfinal spot. Charlotte Independence, only 2 losses in their last 18 games, and the wild affair that was the Rowdies in Louisville in championship play. Yeah, boxing gloves up once again.
You think there's another 9 goals when they meet up again, or will either side be able to spring a clean sheet as Richmond has through 45 minutes tonight? It's the Kickers over the Cosmos, 1-0. First half highlights to come on CBS Sports Network.
We choose Impossible Pups because of their enrichment activities and the fun photos they send home every day. We choose Impossible Pups because Kendall is excited when I drop her off and she's excited when I pick her up. My favorite part about working at Impossible Pups is that the staff here feels like family. It's seeing new dogs come in and build long-lasting confidence. At Impossible Pups, your dog isn't just staying at a kennel. They're staying at their home away from home.
We'd like to welcome the following groups to tonight's match. Be Green Recycling, Atlantic Union Bank, Defiant Food Group, Estes.
Always. Which is why I danced for you. I like pull out my best moves for you, Michael.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Just messing with the audio. That's a good question. I can hear it. Please stop.
The USL on CBS Sports is presented by Best Western. The Richmond Kickers hold a 1-0 lead over the New York Cosmos. City Stadium tonight with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. This a game in which Richmond wanted to come out on the front foot, set a tone. They certainly did that.
I think the most important thing, though, is that not just being on the front foot, but that you do it without the ball. And the identity for the Kickers showed up early, tons of energy. I loved the physical domination in the first half, even though the possession favored the New York Cosmos. So let's start right there, because the New York Cosmos are in this game. There's no doubt about that. They moved the ball quite nicely. Quick movement off the back line. They overloaded central areas, and hard to believe that it took 50 years to get this rivalry, if you will, going. But the ability to create strength in numbers, runs off the ball, the way that you pop out of the midfield, always going to be about hold-up play when you talk about the Cosmos attack because of Seba Guenzati. Great job done here by Lukovic, but you got to hit this first time. No reason to pause, and instead you get yourself into trouble.
Then ahead to the 33rd minute, they win the ball at midfield, and here come the kickers.
So here's the work right off the ball, right? You set your defensive foundation, but then you have to be able to explode coming off of it. The area that they struggled in the opening half hour was they were very linear. When you moved down into the channel, you had one run up top. You started to work through the midfield. You didn't have multiple options like you get on the opening goal from Darwin Espinal. It's great vision, hit with real pace from the outside. And the opener, I still go back to the fact that even though they didn't have the ball, even though they chased a lot, that first half went exactly how interim head coach Brian Ombie wanted it to. He'll ask them to repeat in the second. If you're Davide Corti, the head coach of the Cosmos, you need to have numbers higher in the attack and be willing to take chances. They didn't do that in the first half.
Bottom two teams in USL League One, the Kickers and the Cosmos, aware of the importance of 3 points tonight. Community night at City Stadium in Richmond. The home side leading 1-0.
All right, Kickers fans, it's time to get ready for the second half. We're still on national TV. We still gotta bring the noise. Can we bring it? Can we say, let's go Kickers? Let's make some noise, City Stadium. Fans, your attention. Halftime substitution for the New York Cosmos. Leading the match is number 2.
The travel map is brought to you by Best Western. Owen O'Malley featuring for the 19th time this year. Former Creighton player, known for his goal scoring, but tonight known for just how much he impacted the game through his pressure.
It's got to be the engine work, right, in the midfield for the Richmond Kickers. His work right off the ball. This guy's always going to be great with the ball at his feet. He's going to give you threats up high. But how much work is he willing to do when it's down in the nitty-gritty and you got to chase your opponent? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he checked every single box for Brian Ombie in the first half in the Kickers.
Has to be quite pleased as the Kickers hold a 1-0 lead. The lights are on in Richmond, and perhaps their season is back in order as well. Could they make it 2 wins in a row after 9 without a win in League One? 13 points to a playoff spot. They struggled really ever since they fell to Charleston in USL Cup and have struggled to get back on the horse. They started 3-3-1 this year and just haven't been able to follow that up with back-to-back results ever since. With Devin Kerr, I'm Mike Watts. One change at halftime. Morabito comes off and Will Noaker enters for the Cosmos. Spengler. You talked to Davide Corti today, and part of the issue here is ensuring that the mentality and approach, every game's a final, you hear that a lot, but he also mentioned multiple times promotion relegation coming to the USL ecosystem in the next few years. There's going to come a time, not very distant, where this is a game that decides you staying up, you're going down.
Absolutely, I agree with you. We got a taste of that during the final group stage game in Prinks Tires USL Cup, right? The fight to get into one of those final 8 quarterfinal spots. But that's a very small taste. Now as you start to look even further down the rabbit hole, you're not just talking about what league you're going to stay in.
Ball picked up and whipped across frame by Kirkland, off target.
The finances that come along with it, right? The injection of capital into all of these leagues. What does it look like? The difference between Premier and Championship play, Championship to League One. These are all things that are going to start to wander through the minds of front offices that in some way, shape, or form, stress or not, are going to be passed on to their group. So finding a way to fortify yourself now, become acclimatized, to then be a little bit more immune once it does finally hit its play is extremely important.
I loved Sunderland Till I Die, the documentary series that was out. And talking to Neil Collins about how the woman who ran the meal service for the players was the same one there 15 years ago when he was at Sunderland, prior to being the Rowdies manager, prior to finishing his career in the U.S. And he said so many people around that organization either departed as you went 2 leagues down. That's so much less money coming in, and the effect of relegation is felt through the entire city, and it's affected in every reach of the club. That's the pressure soon to come for USL. Although for the Cosmos, it might be starting from the bottom where there's nowhere to go but up. Surely with their history, they anticipate being there sooner than later.
Understanding just a couple of minutes into the second half, I do like the tactical change from Davide Corti, coach of the Cosmos. He's moved Ajmer Spengler more of a central role just underneath Seba Guenzade. That's where he needs to be, facing the game, working off of him inside out. And they've pushed Frankie Lukovic more out onto that right flank.
Chance to hit from range, ball knocked down by Stefani, and he holds on.
It's not exactly Aladdin pulling the genie out of the bottle, but certainly with the quality you get in the final third from Ajmer Spengler, you had to get him more involved in the game, and it's a good change for the manager to do so.
Well, that ball was nearly on a magic carpet ride. Glass. Kicked away from Spengler. There's O'Malley. This is on a yellow card. He and Spengler are the only 2 players cautioned in the first half. Aspinall. O'Malley contemplated for a stitch in time. Aspinall curling above the bar. That's what makes him famous. 8 of his 9 goals last year came from outside the penalty area.
I love this ball from Owen O'Malley. Dakota Barthathan just ushering play forward. Look at his head up. Surveying, okay, where's the momentum coming? Recognizes the space on the far side. Chilaka isolated in a 2v1. Could have easily stuck this down into the channel. Let this ball be swung back across the 6, but notice the numbers was not in their favor. Good strike from distance.
O'Malley.
Another good service.
And at the end line, up toward Espinal, nodded away Chavez. It had cleared the line. Cosmos haven't played since July the 25th. Decent layoff to try and get their affairs in order. Going into the back half of the season. Trailing on the road. Unfortunately, all too familiar. Away from Hinchcliffe Stadium in Patterson, they've called home. Chavez. Ramos. Lukovic. Spengler settles, circulates. Playing into Lukovic. Slides that back to Guinzotti, still alive. Angling, Spengler, Guinzotti. Final effort. Third shot on target for New York tonight.
Why not hit that, though? Again, you recycle it to the opposite end of the field. You just came from that direction. It's a more acute angle, more defenders from the kickers, instead of just letting it rip from the top of the 18. Love the work rate, by the way, that we're getting out of Sean Vinberg and Sam Layton. I mean, they have done an excellent job that when this defensive unit is cracked, really good timing to eliminate any of the threats coming central. If you're on the sideline, specifically head coach Davide Corte from the Cosmos, you've got to be frustrated right now that you are replicating even better movements back to front and not taking advantage.
Espinal, second bite of the apple. Espinal will go for goal and score! One from close range, one from long distance. Espinal has doubled the Richmond lead.
Defensively quite stout, but as they release, really well done, committing numbers up high in transition. Quickly, the back line starts to drift even further. The midfield wide open as Mendonca can't provide enough support. And nobody converges on the space at top of the 18 except Darwin Espinal. First ball, can't wake its way to the near touchline. Notice the positioning though. Not as clean as he wanted it to be. And this touch is though. Oh, you're welcome. I mean, beautifully brought back across the body for Darwin to double for the kickers.
Rare moment of jubilation for Richmond. Second bottom from the League One's basement, but 2-0 ahead. And 54 minutes closer to back-to-back wins. Tyler Freeman enters for Kirkland. That was the one change that they made after the win against Alta last time out. Freeman was in question for the game. He is able to come off the bench.
Just going back to the activity level of the Cosmos just prior to the goal. Tons of frustration that will be had in the technical area. Great build for the New York Cosmos. Got all the way inside the top of the 18. Should have hit it the first time, didn't. Second opportunity in the cutback, still don't do it. And instead, the third bite of the apple. A much less desired route that ends up too many numbers up high. Too much space conceded to the kickers and conceding a second. Such is the story of the New York Cosmos in 2026 in League One play.
New York could be 7 points below the rest of League One at the end of the night. Shalaka, more elevated. It's a foul from Bowie.
Oh. Easy, Hercules. Hands up high is a no-no.
Yellow card to show for Bowie. His third in 11 games. The player came over from the Portuguese 4th division.
That's beautiful defending. Hayden Anderson, notice the body, kids at home. Don't need 1,000 touches to be able to utilize the space against your opponent. It's really good angles from Hayden Anderson, causing frustration to Patrick Bowie.
number 17.
Mendonca takes off. Davide Galazzini enters in. Second sub. First substitution moment utilized. The other came at halftime.
One wonders if Davide Corti, the amount that they've given up on the perimeter in this game, is going to drop Chalaka onto the back line and build more of a three, create the wingbacks, play this game a bit higher. And in transition, seems to be the case. Put more pressure on the team in the midfield based upon Ashmir Spengler's positioning up next to Guenzati, but necessary as you approach the hour mark, down 2-0.
If you're Davide Corti, you're doing what you can right now with what you have. There's not a ton of guys here who've won at the professional level on their own account. Trying to maneuver the pieces to make the most of this moment. Now down 2-0. It's a good build. Freeman was offside. So not that good a build.
Well, the nice thing, recognizing that the scoreline is certainly not your favor, if you're the Cosmos, is really the same messaging coming into the match. A plethora of midfielders available to you in squad selection and how they can affect the group, right? Lukovic, who can be that box-to-box tie, physically demanding for the group, but also, you know, he can help create underneath the front line. Ozzy Ramos, who can help control the tempo of the game overall. Ashmir Spengler, who can do a little bit of everything, every angle of the field. So even though tactically the numbers change, starting position on the field, the desired location not only remains the same, but still accessible.
There's Kickaroo. Did you know he can jump up to 25 feet? Has taken, it feels like 100 pictures tonight, but always smiling, which I appreciate.
His bubbly personality, while also commanding in nature, always reminded me of Zazu from The Lion King. I don't know why.
Do you think he speaks the same way?
You're not allowed to speak at all.
Therein lies the issue. Espinal, saved by the bell. Hansen, corner. Is Kickaroo the best mascot in USL?
The whole pyramid?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm a big fan of Ziggy out of Colorado Springs.
Yeah, with the Marley
That's
hair
tough.
and yeah.
And the horns.
Yeah, well, can't forget the horns. Whoa, whoa, don't, hey, whoa. It's 2-0, don't go home yet. Corner for the Kickers. Comes up high, and Vasquez sends that away, giving us a chance to look at the Best Western upcoming schedule. Saturday, Monterey Bay and New Mexico United here on CBS Sports Network. We've got Omaha meeting the Kickers in Nebraska, 7 Eastern time on August 16th. And then Phoenix and Colorado Springs, 10 Eastern on CBS Sports Network, August 19th. USLChampionship.com and USLLeague1.com for the complete TV schedule. Entering into the penalty area, Bowie got turned away. Big switch to Chalaka. Elsewhere tonight, Naples and Alta ongoing. That at halftime. Naples ahead, scored right before the intermission. Eddie's second of the year. Naples trying to climb out of the lower reaches of the table as well. Pull up on Alta, who Richmond just defeated 3-2.
Yeah, the Matt Poland era in Naples finished nearly 6 weeks ago now. A remarkable first year that didn't carry over into the second season. There's a lot of work to be done. Similar conversation for Brian Ownby, albeit just 10 games into his tenure.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that I was asking about how Darren Sawatzki had to take a Richmond team that in the championship was win now for so long. And as he guided them into League One, get them to a place where you're developing players. And it's a lot of plates to spin for a coach when you're trying to accomplish multiple feats, not the least of which winning with your first team. And he said, to Rob Ukrop's credit, who is very much synonymous with the pro game in Richmond, Virginia. Heck, his family's grocery store is on the jersey. Focus on this year's team.
Yeah.
Despite the fact they have 4 wins through 18 games.
We certainly had a little power in the front office, able to go get Matt Bolduc on a 25-day and then settle him down on a year-long contract to finish out the season.
I spent 6 years with Richmond previous. Diving header away. That got really nervy. Guizzati scoops this up. Filion way outside of his penalty area. Had to scamper back, and now Richmond perhaps can run the other way and throw the final dart. Freeman muscled off by Chavez. Darwin Espinal, the goal scorer, not once but twice. His first brace in nearly a year and a half, dating back to April 19th last year against Westchester. Thrust off Imberg. I think Davide Corti maybe put it best. Everyone's pending, whether you have a contract or not. The eyes of the front office very much on these teams. Giuseppe Rossi, the head of soccer for the Cosmos, longtime Italian international, surely watching even as the playoffs fade further and further from view. Not to say you were ever in this scenario, Devin, as a professional footballer, but there's an element of individual pride and knowing that you need to provide for your family as Filion goes down. And what's your future with the particular club you're on, as much at this stage as can we miraculously come from over 10 points down in the back half of the year to find the playoffs somehow?
So different layers on my end. Number one, I'm sure my wife at home, now wife, will be thankful that she didn't know me when I traversed the different ranks of American soccer and then into the European pedigree where fighting for a roster spot was a day in, day out issue.
Well,
right?
That's where your hair was still down to your shoulders, right?
Exactly.
Different era.
Yeah, well, CBS had to let me on air eventually, so
Yeah,
cut that and here we are. But the never say die attitude of chasing a roster spot, for me, always spilled into my play. So that passion, which is the second part, always benefited my team, and my team, regardless of where I was situated in the depth chart, never had to go through the relegation battle. Now, I arrived in the 4th division of Germany, team having just won promotion, and we're on the cusp of jumping into the Dritte Liga, which is 3rd division. Only knew the up and up. But there were plenty of academy players who were looking to get on a first team deal, guys that were sitting in their early to mid 30s. With the jump, money's coming in, the roster advancing itself. Were they able to hang around? I mean, this is a difficult conversation to have with yourself, yet alone with the support staff that's in front of you that's supposed to be helping you, because they got a business to run, right?
I think that's a really underrated thing. We saw teams from USL move to MLS prior to this advent of the future of promotion relegation. We've seen teams from Championship go to League One and League One go to Championship within the USL pyramid. Spall sprinting forward for Bowie, out for a corner. You think about Nashville, you think about Cincinnati, you think about teams like Charlotte, Richmond, and the like. Budgets change.
Yeah,
and
drastically.
The people you're going against change. And so promotion relegation, there will be a little instability to that, whether you go up or down. Quick start, and that last wide.
Well, you talk about instability, and I look at the ability to maintain consistency as the grounds around you are ever changing. Here's a great example. One of the biggest detriments that we have in soccer in this country is letting go assets that have been in your organization 5 years, 10 years, just let them walk out the door. The lineage of Louisville City has draped itself across the USL pyramid. So former players, even guys like George Davis, who started as an assistant, now working with the foundation in the front office, you spend so much time not only developing the player, but developing the person. How you want the culture in your group to be. How does it benefit new players that are coming in on the standard?
Big bounce up from Vasquez and dealt with by Stefani.
A guy like Brian Ownby, who was very quick to look right at you and I say, I had to change how this group felt.
Yeah.
Right? This is, all I knew coming over here was the Louisville way. That's not to say it's going to be right for this team, but it does carry success. That type of success that you get from one player that can become a contagion throughout an entire organization. Now you're talking about pro rel. You go from USL Premier, the Championship, League One. You have the ability to maintain your assets within the group far after they've left the field of play and can still make an impact within the group.
Foul that comes with card to Galozzini. It's his 4th in 13 games this year. The Verona, Italy native. Richmond will make a change. It's the card-worthy offense.
Still not allowed to do that.
No. That's it for Darwin Espinal. A tap-in and a long-range effort. First brace since April last year.
He's done quite well in the night, Darwin Espinal. Shades of rust on the opening goal, but his ability to recover. Class is permanent in the 33rd minute. And I love the quick vision here, back across the body. Even that touch, as clean as it is for himself, he's also evading the defensive movement coming from Frankie Lukovic and the New York Cosmos. It's not a bad 20-minute run.
Tarek Panholzer on in his stead. Only his 4th appearance off the bench in 19 games this year. And came out of the St. Pauli Academy in Germany. Inside 20 minutes to play tonight in Richmond. Panholzer at the back of Chavez. Creates a throw for the kickers.
He's a menace, Tarek Panholzer. Chris Grassi product after an Eastern Tennessee State transfer to Marshall. Should fit right into the Brian Ownby system. Quick fire, work rate off the ball, and some reinforcements coming for Davide Corte. Milovanov, some assistance within the midfield. What would be Materazzi and some help onto the back line. An end of a debut for Ozzy Ramos.
Milovanov, Tarasi, and Zalanka, the 3 coming in for New York. These subs 3, 4, and 5 for them tonight. That's, as you mentioned, it for Ozzy Ramos in his debut. Anderson Holt takes leave, get a center back off, and Jordan Chavez as well. So this, the most attacking substitution they could make, needing 2 goals. Panholzer. Pocket picked at the end line. Chance to run out. Keeper way off his line. Well done by Filion. If he got that wrong, it's a very awkward conversation.
And he thinks he's just fine after being tended to about 5 minutes prior.
True enough. Usually I go, does a goalkeeper really have cramping in his legs? Really? He might.
Yeah, they don't ever run.
Well, he does.
The entire goalkeeping union has just put me in their sights. As if I needed another reason to try and escape the stadium.
Who do you think is more frustrated, the goalkeeping union or the refereeing union? Because we saw an injury there too tonight. Is there something opening up for the Cosmos? Not so fast. Vasquez held it up. Richmond to charge forward. Tyler Freeman. Freeman once more came up through Sporting Kansas City's academy and into their second team. Malley. Spangler. Hansen guides it to the line. And O'Malley just sat down.
That will be about the war of attrition for Owen O'Malley.
There's only 16 minutes remaining, but they've used 2 of their windows, so 3 subs left. If you're going to get O'Malley off, and he just stood up under his own power, I think he recognized if he gets attended to, he has to sit out for a minute. If he doesn't, get the substitute, then puts the team in a compromised scenario.
Well said.
An injured Cosmo, and they're out of subs altogether. Richmond are going to make their final changes right now.
Public substitution for the kickers in the 75th minute.
Landon Johnson
Number 2, Dakota Barnefin.
on for Vasquez. It's Austin Amer. Came through Orlando's academy and then Barcelona Academy in Arizona. Spent quite a bit of time in that German 4th division that you came around for a time. Sasanka in as well. That's it for O'Malley. And that's it. Both teams have utilized all 5. And the captain, Barnathan, final player off here for Richmond.
That's a problem. That's a ton of leverage, all coming down at once on Landon Johnson. Chalaka. Try to hold hands.
Landon like I don't know you like that. Is this a fourth home win for Richmond? Better than a 50% proposition at home if they do so over the course of a difficult season. Corner into the box, Guinzotti didn't get it quite right. Corner. Richmond will go to Omaha next, Sunday, August 16th. Another game on CBS Sports Network. And they'll host Portland Hearts of Pine. The games in Richmond air on the local CBS affiliate for hosting Madison to end August. Corner forward, Johnson tried to push on it. Ricochet out for a throw. Spangler will come with a card. It's quite the welcome for Sasanka. That's the first time he's touched the ball or the player since he came in a few minutes ago.
Getting him back to full health, certainly a priority for the Richmond Kickers. He struggled for quite some time with fitness after his injury picked up on this year, and all of a sudden, the frustrations about depth, a lot of it coming from health. Remaining head coach Brian Ownby. Throw a couple of results on top and got yourself a fire there, Michael.
Sure.
Just the right side of your screen, how flat that front line is. Just everybody one-on-one and no real options in depth.
Always, Sasanka brought it down, shot ricochets away. Salonka had to go.
It's really easy defensively to understand where the next ball is going to come from when it's just stacked one in front of another. Outside of really dynamic movement, which you're not getting from the Cosmos, pretty predictable.
Turned over to Panholzer. Carried by Amer. Anderson. Bad giveaway. Another instance where Spangler is on the ball and asked to make a decision out of the midfield. Will Noaker just left the field. Cosmos are out of substitutes. The athletic trainer is having a look at him. So the Cosmos are playing with 10 right now with 10 minutes remaining.
Well, the good news is you have Michael Chalaka who can drift into that center back spot. And you just have to pull Patrick Bowie deeper, but certainly the man advantage not in favor.
Hansen. That'll bounce through. Amer. Tough for Noaker, who's a Fairfax, Virginia native. Chance to play a little closer to home tonight. Hopefully we see him again this evening. Johnson. Through some oohs and ahs. He first signed an academy deal in 2023 and has worked his way consistently into the first team. I think that's probably, unfortunately, a pretty clear sign. Noaker taking the tape off of his ankle at this point.
He was tugging at the backside of his right leg as well. That already had KT tape on it. It's just the hamstring.
So one has to imagine the Cosmos will be down to 10 the rest of the way. These two teams at the bottom of the League One standings. This looking more and more like a big night for Richmond. So put them on 18. pull them into a 3-way tie for 14th. And we'll put them 9 points off Fort Wayne in 9th, 10 points off Chattanooga Red Wolves in 8th. They do have 19 games played, which is more than a number of teams in front of them. The top of the table, on the other hand, is fascinating right now. The top 6 are all within 7 points of leading Union Omaha. Trying to spin free, Freeman.
Man advantage or not for the Richmond Kickers, just a step too slow. Really the entire night, the New York Cosmos. It's another good example where the aggression of the Kickers, they've come high. They've forced a half turnover, but the space on a little bounce benefits the Cosmos. Play vertical, they don't, you step on it. And now you allow the Kickers defensively to restructure themselves. Little things over the course of the night, really the entirety of the year, that continue to plague the decision-making process for the visitors, and certainly have hindered the overall results.
Lukovic. New York trying to find a lifeline. Dipping in behind, good first touch. Alazzini, too far. Just a spot up on the opposite side. Working on Anderson. Splaying it through. Reaching the end line, cut back ball, got through everybody and out the other side. Galazzini back over top of the 6. Pirouetting for space, that blocked from Zelonka.
They can't buy a foul, can they, the New York Cosmos? How's this for a dance? You get an idea real quick, Kashmir Spengler, as to why he is one of the most dangerous and creative attackers in League One. Beautiful explosion to the end line, perfect on the cutback. Alas, no bodies in the box.
Lukovic. Alazzini turned over to Hansen. Tries to throw the Meg, did kind of. Continues through Amer. Anderson turned to Sendert. You know, I think there's something to be said for how Richmond has controlled this game without necessarily controlling the ball.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
There's one thing to say, oh, we want to change our defensive strategy. Yes, we'll press high, but also understand when and where, to play with the ball. It's another thing to be out there and suffer off it, chase. Very efficient. And they're moving over the course of the evening for the Kickers. I would say this is, got about 5 minutes to go in the game, outside of added time. If I'm Brian Ownby, interim for the Kickers, I'd like the energy level a little bit higher right now. Slow, some of their responses. They're allowing New York Cosmos to stay in it. Down to 10, down 2 goals. And if I'm Davide Corti, head coach of the Cosmos. I'm happy with the last 5 minutes. Pipe dream or not that they're going to grab one back or even the dream of an equalizer as well. They've not gone quietly into the night. They've done well to continue to go about their business the way that they want, ball dominant. Clean, crisp touches, 5-10 yard seams to work through.
All in front again. That's asking real questions. It's beyond Lukovic.
Haven't been able to hit the broadside of a barn when they've come up high. We look at box entries, progressions into the final third, many of which, if not favoring the Cosmos, quite close in nature to what the kickers have provided. 6-4 shots on target favor the kickers. Touches in the opponent's box to the visitors. Final third entries, near dead heat to be fair. There's plenty to look at for the manager of the New York Cosmos and Davide Corti to be happy with across the board. And the problem is we're having a very similar conversation that we were in week 2, where you can go about your business 80-90% of the time, and that's not going to get you over the end line, so to say. That's why they're sitting at the bottom of the standings in USL League One. Conveniently looking up at the kickers for now.
Going to finish the night looking up at 3 teams all the same number of points. Now, to be fair, on 18, will be 7 away from the rest of the pack. There'll still be 17 points off the line with 14 games remaining. See Spokane next. Mentioned just how complex it is at the top of League One. Richmond will see league leading Omaha just over a week. Spokane sit 5th. They're 6 points off the leaders. Charlotte had that unbelievable unbeaten streak, a couple months long. They're now 2 points off the pace, and Madison sits 3rd, 3 points off Omaha, top League One. One 17-team league, no conferences. Top 8 make the postseason. You and I have had the chance to see a little bit of Athletic Cup Boise. They might be intriguing. They've won 3 on the bounce. Madison is on a lengthy winning streak.
All the teams you and I have had the opportunity to come across in League One play have been impressive. Mike Avery's team in Fort Wayne. Ownership group spearheaded by DeMarcus Beasley, sitting there in the 9 spot. Bobby Murphy, Portland Hearts of Vine. Dear Lord, you see the renderings for the stadium they're bringing to town?
Looks like about 10,000 seats. Oof. And they deserve it too. Fitzpatrick's been awesome in sort of its own sort of glory, but for Portland, Maine to have a stadium like that, the fans there and the club that has just sprung out of the ground and done just about everything right, absolutely deserves it.
There's so many, let's bring this full circle now. We talk about pedigree, right, and guys that have had success at whatever stop in their journey it was. You've got Mike Jeffries, who is Mr. Soccer in this country, right? Matt Kerman Award winner. It's college soccer's Heisman back in the 80s. National team player, MLS, USL, got it. Matt Glazer won a title with the Monarchs in 2019 as an assistant. Heads up forward Madison now. Ian Fuller played for one of the best teams that's ever graced the USL Championship in the Orlando teams of yore. In charge of one Knoxville, Lee Wiedman, head of Spokane, part of the Battery organization. Nate Miller, San Diego. I mean, the list goes on and on, right? Just unreal amount of talent in the coaching ranks that then certainly goes into scouting front office execs figuring out who they want to represent. Some defined in League One, some just stepping into play like the Cosmos. Excellent job over the past couple of years of really vetting these ownership groups and who's going to control the vision on the pitch and the results following.
Solanke goes down, and then you say all that, but then it's still Omaha top the standings.
You're welcome. You can take the boy out of the land of Lincoln, but somehow I always come back.
Yep. Thankfully, that's the only owl apparel that you wear. Final seconds ticking away. Richmond could provide an exclamation point. And this run continues from Tyler Freeman. Why not? Freeman finally overtaken. Grabbed by Stefani. Rolls it out. This is cosmetic now for the Cosmos. The Richmond Kickers have taken back-to-back games and put themselves back in the mix in League One. 7 points clear of the Cosmos at the bottom now. A 2-0 win spearheaded by Darwin Espinal's first brace of the year. And the Kickers are back to their winning ways at home. Richmond has had their fair share of frustration in 2026, but hardly ever at home. A 2-0 win. Darwin Espinal from feet and from yards, and the Cosmos look from the bottom of the table. USL on CBS Sports, presented by Best Western.
All right. Come from behind you. Me in front. Be a little bit of delay.
Brian, how you doing, buddy?
Yep, got it. Hey, can you hear me?
Hell yeah, we can. Congrats.
All right, perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we'll be with you in just 1 sec.
All right, no worries, no worries.
Back on CBS Sports Network, the Richmond Kickers, a 2-0 win. Very celebratory tone at City Stadium. Mike Watts with Devin Kerr, and Brian Ownby joins us from the field, interim manager, back-to-back wins. You talked to us about telling the team, go out, hunt, be aggressive. You were from the first step tonight. Thoughts on the performance?
Yeah, you know, for me, it was the first 15 minutes starting aggressive. I thought we did that. A little bit warmer of a night with less rest days, but for me, the group, the mentality, the effort, you know, I would love to have seen us dictate and see the game out with the ball a little bit more in that second half, but, you know, the clean sheet was a priority for us leading in as well, and, you know, 2-0, 3 points, we get some rest now.
Brian, everybody likes goals, right? They like action. Certainly that favored your career. The defender in me wants to lean into the clean sheets, right? You guys only have 4 in the year, but that's now 2 in your last 7. You talk about the buy-in for the group, maybe giving up some of that ball dominance, the work rate off the ball. What has it been like to work with this team over the past month to really see them develop defensively, where it's starting to become that fortress and really difficult to break down?
Yeah, I mean, I challenged them about 2 weeks ago during halftime with Charlotte, I said, you know what, we're going to go hunt the ball. That means we're leaving man for man at the back. And I just put that in their head as a challenge, and they've taken it on board. You know, we're willing to give up some of these transition moments to go hunt the ball, but I think that's what this group wants. And tonight, you know, they managed it really, really well.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate the time. The Richmond Kickers, a 2-0 win, very celebratory tone at City Stadium. Mike Watts with Devin Kerr, and Brian Ownby joins us from the field, interim manager, back-to-back wins. You talked to us about telling the team, go out, hunt, be aggressive. You were from the first step tonight. Thoughts on the performance?
Yeah, you know, for me, it was the first 15 minutes starting aggressive. I thought we did that. A little bit warmer of a night with less rest days, but for me, the group, the mentality, the effort, you know, I would love to have seen us dictate and see the game out with the ball a little bit more in that second half, but, you know, the clean sheet was a priority for us leading in as well, and, you know, 2-0, 3 points, we get some rest now.
Brian, everybody likes goals, right? They like action. Certainly that favored your career. The defender in me wants to lean into the clean sheets, right? You guys only have 4 in the year, but that's now 2 in your last 7. You talk about the buy-in for the group, maybe giving up some of that ball dominance, the work rate off the ball. What has it been like to work with this team over the past month to really see them develop defensively, where it's starting to become that fortress and really difficult to break down?
Yeah, I mean, I challenged them about 2 weeks ago. During halftime with Charlotte, I said, you know what, we're going to go hunt the ball. That means we're leaving man for man at the back. And I just put that in their head as a challenge, and they've taken it on board. You know, we're willing to give up some of these transition moments to go hunt the ball, but I think that's what this group wants. And tonight, you know, they managed it really, really well.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate the time. Take a look at the full-time highlights, and if you're Richmond, it's the way you approach the game, and then it's how you make sure you get the goals to add on to that and ultimately find your second consecutive win.
You work away from having the ball at your feet. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and they did that because the Cosmos were really good in possessional phases. But when you start to break, recognizing the exact moments at when you have the ability to play into the final third. Opening goal in the 33rd minute, perfect representation of that. Reciprocated once again by the Kickers build in the 53rd. Notice on the outside, you play it too early, the avenue shuts itself down. If Darwin Espinal continues his run into the box, the opportunity lost. Instead, good patience. And while certainly the ball doesn't make its way to the near avenue on the touchline, you still get a second chance. Espinal, always the coolest customer in the building, doubles the lead for the Kickers, his second on the night, and secures 3 points for interim head coach Brian Ownby.
You see the final stats, final thoughts on this game, Dev?
I am beyond impressed at the turnaround in the group for the Richmond Kickers. For a team that said, we can make you move. We're going to throw a ton of numbers on the ball. We're going to make you chase all over the pitch. To turn that identity around and do it in such a rapid fashion, now the results following, very impressive. If you're the New York Cosmos, it's a bit of Groundhog Day, yes. There's a lot of good within this group, but they have to retain some sort of belief. And unfortunately right now, I don't see a lot of spirit on the field for a team at the bottom of the League One standings.
So Richmond pulls back within 10 points of the line. We're back on Saturday with more USL action as Monterey Bay meets third place New Mexico in a championship bout. Speaking of bouts, next up UFC Ultimate Knockouts. For Devin Kerr and our entire crew in Richmond and beyond, Mike Watts, saying this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Darwin Espinal's the hero. The Kickers season very much alive. They beat the Cosmos 2-0.